Hey guys, this is Pedro, and I'm back with a brand new interview again, covering the prelude to the 2024 VCT Americas kickoff event. I'm here accompanied by Immi, the head coach for Cloud9, who will be set to take on the likes of Fury of MIBR and NRG in Group A of the aforementioned event. So, like I said before, Immi, thank you so much for taking the time. Um, Looking at the roster for Cloud9 for this season, it's quite filled with a few familiar faces when you are considered. You got Oxy, former member player of yours back in G2, and then the same thing with Whippy, and you got Vanity, former player of yours back in V1. I mean, just start this whole conversation off. Is you forming this team an elaborate plan for you to coach a team filled with former past players throughout your career?
Um, it was the team was kind of made by Zellsis and myself, but he was on the same wavelength as me. It's like it was a no-brainer, right? We're making a team that's got a budget. We can get Whippy, who for me is one of the best Sentinels in America, if not the best. Like not many people can do what he does. He gets very underrated. He's a good teammate. And then Oxy, like the duelist that you have an option between is like him or Narrate. I'd worked with Oxy. He's humble. He's got no ego. The kid's insane. He's got a very high skill ceiling. So those two for me, it was like no brainers, right? There was no one else around either. Um, and then for Vanity, I just wanted to work with Vanity again. I've wanted to work with them for a while since V1. In V1, we got ahead of the meta because we trusted each other. We allowed each other to try things. We had arguments, but they were always solutions at the end of them. Whereas I haven't really had that with anyone else. It's been very hard. I've either had people who aren't IGLs who I've had to teach, or I've had IGLs who are stubborn, and I don't like either of those.
Mm-hmm. Then what made this particular unit, the one that you helped form before the start of this season, what made this the core group that you wanted to go with for this 2024 season once it does kick off and then everything beyond that?
I mean, it just kind of happened. It just kind of came together. It's not like I honestly didn't think I was going to have a job this season. I was meant to. I was very close to joining Cloud9 last season, but MCE joined instead. But yeah, I did. It all just happened very last minute. This whole thing. It's not like I had a plan to bring everyone together. It literally happened within about 2 hours. Literally, I got a phone call. It's like, okay, let's put a roster together, and then that was it. 2 hours, it was done.
And I guess these people that you brought in, they were your first choices, right? That given the fact that you were able to form it as quickly as you described.
Um, yeah, they were all first choices, apart from we were meant to have Zellsis, so but then Zellsis left pretty
Mhm.
quickly. It was always that like if he gets this offer, he was gonna go. But yeah, Zellsis was meant to be in the team.
It is unfortunate, but such is the thing with roster moves in Valorant. But even so, looking into the team's progression throughout the offseason, I had a similar conversation with Zeppa about how the team went about their business in the offseason. But for this team, looking at this team, you guys made it a conscious effort to participate in as many tournaments as possible to then build up that synergy, build up that cohesion so that you guys could then be at a good level once the season does kick off, pun intended. Um, that said, what was the main points that you were looking at slash emphasizing when it comes to playing all of these off-season tournaments, and what was the most difficult part behind that aspect?
Um, I think we just wanted to go get some stage experience, especially with the people who haven't played in VCT yet. Oxy hasn't been on stage. Whippy, I don't think has been on stage. So we just wanted to go get some stage experience, get some experience together, travel, bond. That was the main thing. And then the first tournament went really well. Second tournament went really well. Then the hardest part came was all the traveling. And then come to the Columbia event, we were extremely jet lagged. and we wanted to just try things. We tried different vetoes. Again, this is where it comes down to me and Vanity trying things out a lot. And we tried different vetoes. We played different maps, the maps we hadn't played in the other tournaments. We played during this tournament to get some experience. Then we went on a month break and we came back and we went straight into the other off-season tournament, the Ludwig event, which
Mm.
again, we just tried things. Like the meta was all to change. Deadlock just came out, new maps came out. So we picked Icebox every game. We played Deadlock. And everyone, I think everyone thinks that we were at 100%, but that's not the case. But the hardest part was definitely traveling. But everything else has been perfect. Like the plan's gone exactly how we wanted it to go.
And now that you've been able to do, been able to do the plan and have it all mapped out and then done, what do you feel are the team's current strengths now at this moment in time before the start of this coming tournament?
I think our biggest strength is probably just the unity we have. Again, the willingness to try, the willingness to bring each other up. We don't get angry in game. We leave everything till after. But definitely our biggest strength is unity and being as one and following each other. If one person says do something, we all do it. There's no second guessing. And I think that's something that we really drilled into the team as well.
Right, right. And you mentioned a little bit about reuniting with Vanity from your past days in version 1 and how a good of a team that was back in those days. And well, going deeper into that aspect, what do you feel was the biggest change you've seen in your relationship with Vanity from V1 and now playing in a different org in Cloud9 ahead of this season?
Honestly, this is going to be. I mean, I think I've personally changed a lot as a coach. Like I'm a different coach from what I was back then. But Vanity is still the same. Like the relationship's still the same. Like honestly, it's a boring answer, but nothing's changed.
What do you think changed for you then, in particular? Because you said that you changed a lot. So, what aspects do you feel changed within you as the coach, be it within and out or outside of the server?
I think I've improved a lot. I was a very stubborn coach back then. Obviously, like I said, we tried things and we believed in each other, but I was still pretty stubborn. I was also kind of a new coach, even though I had a lot of experience. I was an in-game leader in CS and in Val, I've just been a coach, purely a coach. But listening to my players more, like actually having discussions rather than dictating. So if they think something's good, how does it feel when they play? I'm not a player. I need to understand how they feel. They know their abilities more than I know their abilities. So just understanding people and just growing up a bit more, I think, has been a big change for me.
I think that then explains the openness that you described earlier on in the conversation, which I understand. Looking into like the coaching aspect, so far I believe it's been only you as a head coach. Have you been receiving other help, assistant coach, on the like? And if so, what kind of help have they given you during this off season?
No, coaching wise, I'm the only coach. It's just me. I've got a manager who helps me greatly. I've got Vanity who helps me. I've Zeppa helps me, but I am the only coach. But I'm not a massive believer in analysts, for instance. Like an assistant coach, I think is very useful. It has to be the right person that you click with. Or like analysts, for instance, I'm just not a huge believer in.
Why is that?
I might have just never had a good analyst come to me and show me anything that's been like, wow, like it's normally like, oh, Oxy went for this many entries and he died this many times. And it's like, okay, so what's the context? Did he die on eco? Is he going in first because he's told to go in first? Was his play good? Like the numbers aren't everything. And like, yeah, it's something, but most of the time, most of the analysts I've worked with, they just give you numbers and there's no context because there's always should be context behind why something's happening.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe it's because of there's some more reliance on over reliance that I feel that on the numbers instead of just like, focusing on the players themselves and just stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Right. And that said, looking at the rest of the entire league, what do you feel is the biggest challenges for Cloud9, given the fact that Cloud9 was a team despite having roster issues or not issues but swaps at the start of last season, the team was able to do well domestically up until the tail end of the year, not qualifying for Masters and Champions. But what do you feel this team stands compared to the rest of the league at this moment in time in this new year?
Um, I mean, I don't put any expectations on us. Everyone else thinks we're like sixth, seventh. I would say going from scrims, off-season tournaments, and how we feel, I feel like we're one of the better teams in the league. But everything can change. We haven't seen people on the new patch, the new agents, the new rosters. So I personally don't like to put expectations on us. I just like to go one game at a time. Don't look too far ahead. But I feel like we can exceed expectations with expectations being around sixth, seventh.
Mhm. I understand that, but looking at what it is right now in the present, I want to touch upon your take on the recent changes to the game. It's been a massive topic amongst the professional level, such as the new map pool, the new agent changes specifically on Sky and stuff like that, and how that's affected the meta at this level in Tier 1. So what's your opinion on it? Do you feel you like it? Do you feel you don't like it? Are you like somewhat in between this whole thing?
Um, I love the agent changes. I think for me it was quite obvious that Sky needed a nerf 4 months ago, and then for them to nerf her so close to the event that it doesn't make much sense because she could have just been nerfed so far ago. So it's the timing more than anything. But I like nerfs. I like agent changes. They should constantly be changing agents, and people have to adapt. They have to get better. They have to play multiple agents. I like that part of it. It's just the timing. If we have a 5 month off season, then why not just put the nerfs in the middle of that off season? Maps, again, I like maps being taken out. I like them being changed. I like that you have to adapt, you have to relearn. But if we're going to take Breeze and Icebox out and we're going to bring them back and they're the exact same maps, I don't really like that. That doesn't make much sense to me. If you're going to take a map out for so long, surely it comes back with like a decent change.
Yeah, because I feel that's basically been the consensus amongst the pros. Basically, the fact that these two maps that you mentioned haven't really changed that much in the great in the grand scope of things. And yeah, going into that, is it frustrating, to see that kind of deal happen when it comes to taking out a map and then playing with it in its new version, and then basically not seeing anything changed?
I don't know if frustration is the word. It just is confusing, I guess. Like if you take Icebox out, for me, it's quite obvious that the A site needs work, the B site needs work, but they just added a window pretty much in the middle of the map, and it hasn't changed anything. The compo will still be the same. So it's not necessarily frustration. I just don't understand it. I guess I'm just a little bit confused.
Mhm.
Like, is that if that's their goal to just take maps out and just change the map pool, like, and not really change the maps, then sure. But yeah,
How do you think this new state of the game will affect Cloud9's, performance? Of course, we're still before the point in which people have played any maps or any matches in general, but how do you think it will affect Cloud9 in particular?
I think it's fine. I think every team has to adapt. I've got players who can play any agents. We could put Oxy on Sentinel if we needed to. It's I think that is just part of the game, and that is just it's something that I like. It's probably my biggest strength is adapting to what's going on, trying new comms, trying to find the new agents. Um, I don't think it'll affect us. I think we'll be fine. If we were to lose, this won't be any of the reasons.
Of course, and yeah, of course, hopefully, the team will do well once everything does kick off, as I said before, pun intended. for the team and also for yourself. Emi, really appreciate you taking the time doing this interview. Really appreciate it one more time. Best of luck to you, to the team, and to the players, and also to yourself, most importantly.
Thank you.
All
Have
right.
a good day.